Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope all of you are doing good. And this Tuesday coming up is going to be the 4th of July, which is Independence Day. July 4th, 1776. What a beautiful day. And we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. And as the day goes on today, more and more stuff keeps getting added to my list of stuff to talk about. So there's tons of stuff for us to go over tonight. Independence Day, it's a pretty big deal. Probably the biggest deal in this country's history, if you're an American anyways. Also, big news. The ATF's final rule, the frames and receivers ban, this was trying to ban you from exercising your God-given natural right to build your own firearm, which you have obviously, and the Second Amendment protects obviously, has been vacated by the Fifth Circuit by Judge Reed O'Connor. And this is what's called vacated, meaning right now the rule is null and void. It's been set aside. The rule does not exist. Now, I'm not a lawyer. Do not take legal advice from me. But I'm pretty darn sure this applies to the whole country, and there is no more frames and receivers rule as of right now. Now, obviously, I see the government coming back and trying to appeal this. Well, first it'll have to go to a 3-judge panel in the United States Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has just ruled favorably, meaning favorably to our side, favorably to the Second Amendment on several key issues. We're talking things like bump stocks. We're talking right now, they're still in the process. The en banc panel is hearing the pistol braces ban rule. So they've already ruled in our favor on bump stocks, okay? Those have been deemed unconstitutional by the Fifth Circuit. We have a circuit split, which means that will probably be ripe for the Supreme Court. They haven't officially scheduled anything for it yet, but that's probably where that's going to go. Braces, we don't want to take anything for granted, but if I were to guess, okay, because with the courts, you just never know. In fact, you never know about anything when it comes to government. All you really know is yourself, your good friends, and your family, and it's important to remember that. But hopefully, probably, this same Fifth Circuit is going to rule in our favor on the pistol brace ban rule. Well, Reed O'Connor, being in Texas, being in the Fifth Circuit, it's going to be a tough row to hoe for the government to try to get rid of him vacating this frames and receivers rule. And then, of course, if the 3-judge panel and then what's called the en banc or full panel in the Fifth Circuit ends up agreeing with this lower federal district judge, then that would also have to go to the Supreme Court. So this is a victory today, guys. This is a victory. And it's weird because sometimes like the 2A gun community doesn't seem to like victories. Whenever I have any type of a good news video, it tends to get the least amount of views and actually primarily gets the most negative comments, and I get it. I actually understand why, but I hope it doesn't always have to be that way. I know people were just so frustrated all the time because so many of us are purists, just like the founding fathers were when they signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. And when we have a constitution with the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, with the second one saying the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, hey, that's the rule of law. It says what it says and it means what it means. And if there were to even be one gun control law or regulation or rule or whatever, that would be completely and utterly 100% unconstitutional. And that's my stance. And unfortunately, it can be pretty frustrating sometimes living in a country where your founding documents, right? Where when you believe in your founding documents, that a lot of times you're considered the outcast. And I'm not a particularly competitive person. Like, I'm not trying to do any better than you or any one person, but I guess all of us to some extent like to win sometimes. And when you believe in your country's founding documents, well, obviously, I'm an American. Of course, I believe in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And then just time and time again, you just keep losing and losing and losing. Sometimes you think to yourself, well, shoot, I won on something. but it must not really be a real win. So I may as well just get mad about this because I'll probably lose in the end. I know there's at least somebody that thinks that way, and sometimes I catch myself in the same thing. So here's how I think we should look at it. And this is how I'm going to look at it. And you should think for yourself, obviously. But there's a lot of stuff we're losing at. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be changed. And there's a lot of stuff that we need to win at all costs. You know, this country is well on its way to communism. And I think most of you know that. And we can never, ever, ever let this become a completely communist country, because you can vote your way into communism, but history would prove you have to shoot your way out of it if you can. And most people haven't been able to. And if it wasn't for the United States, communism wouldn't have fallen throughout the rest of the world in the last century. So all of that's true. And the fight's never, ever over, because we just want to be left alone, right? Just leave us with our guns, our ability for self-preservation, to protect and defend ourselves, our family, and our country, and just leave us alone. That's all we want, is to be free and left alone, which is great. That's one of the most beautiful things ever, if you think about it. But the other side is never, ever, ever, ever going to leave us alone. And I think you guys all know that by now who watch this channel. So we need to remain vigilant. Sometimes we need to get a little pessimistic to understand the dire straits we're in, so we can actually get off of our lazy butts and do something for once, right? But then sometimes we get a victory. And this is a victory today. So we should take the victories with a federal judge vacating the frames and receivers final ATF rule. It's called vacated, meaning the rule's gone now, and try to pull in some of that positive energy. Because it is good to be positive. You know, we should be happy sometimes. And while we can think, we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? I think all of you can. I read these chats. My audience are very, very smart people. Yeah, there's some more gun control that just basically went through, or got passed, if you will, in Michigan in the middle of the night through the House last night. I'm going to talk about that. We need to be concerned with that and pissed off about that. But yet we should be happy in this hand, because that's a pretty big deal. You know, we came this close to a bureaucracy, a 3-letter agency, basically obliterating the free exercise of your natural right to keep and bear arms by building your own firearm. That's huge. That's fundamental. And as we celebrate July 4th, which is Independence Day, it's very, very a key victory at a very, very key time. And I am uplifted by that. And I am encouraged by that. Are you guys? Because just think of the founding fathers. At that time, they weren't Americans. They were technically legally British subjects, although their loyalties were faltering. About a year before the Declaration of Independence was signed, a little more than a year, shot heard around the world went off. There were a couple key battles in Massachusetts. Concord, the famous Concord Bridge, and then Lexington, in a green pasture area that's become known as Lexington Green. The big fight had actually physically started, and there were many skirmishes and many, like they talk about mass shootings. One of the biggest mass shootings had happened before this, where the Brits had basically massacred the colonists. So blood had already been shed. The war had already started. And there's many reasons, many, many reasons, and we could talk for 8 hours about that. But we're not going to have time to do that tonight. But one of the biggest reasons where things shifted was they came after the colonists' guns, their firearms, their ammunition. It's true. And they said, well, hold on a minute. We've been trying to fight diplomatically. We've been trying to fight peacefully. We've been sending our redress of grievances. That's why that's protected under the First Amendment. Very, very important to the King of England. That's falling on deaf ears. They thought to themselves for a long time and discussed it openly that we're going to keep doing this the right way. Nobody wants a war. And the colonists didn't want a war either. Nobody literally wants like a civil war, a revolutionary war. Now, people on the internet say they want it, but it's a lot easier to type than it is to go out there and actually do it. And the colonists generally, they didn't want. But they said, hold on a minute. Because even they knew All political power comes from the barrel of a gun. And when they noticed that their diplomatic, their writings, their diplomacy, it got to the point of them, at first they were begging and pleading with the King of England, and they were giving him ultimatums, and things started progressing. And then they finally came and said, no, we're actually coming for your guns now. Just due to logistics and fire hazard reasons. Some of the left will tell you, well, they had gun control back in 1776. No, they actually didn't, but they would make laws where you had to store all of your ammunition, your munitions. Now, you could have a small amount of powder and a few musket balls in your home, but it was just due to the fact of fires. They had bucket brigades where you volunteered to be on the bucket brigade, or you got drafted into it. There's different ways you could look at it, but people would run around with buckets to put out fires in the late 1700s. Okay? And a lot of the building codes and stuff back then, they didn't have that. It was more like combustibles and things that could easily burn. People often had horse stables attached to their house. So just imagine you have a attached 2-car garage right now. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't happen to have that, but certainly not a foreign concept, right? Back then, people would have their horse stable right off their house with the straw and the hay, and even animal urine can combust easily. So, with the type of firearms that were commonly wielded and used back then, the firearm would literally have to make a spark to then set off the chain reaction of the powder burning. We didn't have self-contained brass case cartridges. We're not the standard fare in 1776. So, for all of those reasons, not for totalitarian, dictatorial reasons, they would have each village, town, area, they would consolidate it geographically. They would keep all of their gunpowder and a large portion of their cannonballs and musket balls and what was called a magazine. Now, this would be built somewhere. Let's just say it was the town square or on the outside of town. There's not a set rule where it would have been, but it was a building that by those standards back then was considered fireproof and or fire resistant, whatever. And that way, if somebody carelessly kicked over an old school lantern or candle in their horse stable, they didn't have 50 pounds of powder sitting in their house where it would literally blow it up. Let's fast forward on. Paul Revere, his famous ride, supposedly he said, the British are coming, the British are coming. Probably not. He probably actually said the redcoats are coming, because at that time, technically, he was a loyal British subject, right? Well, that's when the straw broke the camel's back, and they were actually coming for their ammunition magazines. Don't look at it like something that's detachable that holds whatever amount of rounds. Yeah, that is still a magazine. It's still the same definition, technically. Something that holds ammunition, a container. So it's not wrong definition, but this is a different type of magazine. And if any of you guys have FFLs where you make ammo or things like that, it's actually still a thing to this day. If you have over a certain amount of primers in your possession or even powder, especially if you're in with the government with an FFL, Federal Firearms License, you get inspected on that, and your magazine has to be approved for, probably nowadays, a lot of it's for gun control, of course, but it's also for fire hazards and things like that. And they said, well, here's the problem. They're now coming for our guns. Well, that's a big problem, obviously. What if this diplomacy and writing letters doesn't work in the future here? Because it's not really working right now. What will we do then? Then they basically said to themselves, well, let's see here. And the answer is pretty easy, obviously. If we give up our guns, we ain't never, ever, ever going to get any type of freedom or enjoy any liberties from the King of England, from his tyrannical oppression, of his colonization. So they said, we ain't going to give up our guns. Now, they were ticked off about a lot of stuff before that, obviously. Taxes. It's kind of funny. People talk about the concept of fascism today. Now, unfortunately, that wording's been used just to insult somebody you don't like, but a real brief definition, and it's not this simple, I totally get it, would be some type of unholy alliance and collusion where big, large businesses and the government would collude together to become a superpower and put oppression upon its people. And we've seen that a lot in history before. And we definitely see that right now. Probably, quite frankly, as much as anybody's ever seen it before. But the colonists also saw that too. There was various East India trading companies, and they basically started getting a monopoly on goods that would get imported into this country. And they were raising taxes. They were raising taxes on tea, and there was the Boston Tea Party, and all of these things mattered. It's not that these don't matter. These were all very important. But the colonists didn't actually declare just because of the tax on tea. What really, really kicked things off, at least the way I understand history, is the final straw that broke the camel's back is the government was coming for their guns. They knew if they gave them up, they'd never, ever have a chance. And they wouldn't have had a chance. And we wouldn't be doing this right now. I probably wouldn't be alive. Neither would you, because it's just weird. If one thing would have changed, right? Like, who knows what the future would be. But no matter what, we wouldn't be in the United States of America talking about this if the Founding Fathers hadn't realized we can never, ever, 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 no matter what, give up our right to keep and bear arms. Because if we do, we're never, ever, ever going to get it back. And these weren't like people that had bloodlust that just wanted to fight and wanted to watch stuff die. I know if you watch too much stuff on the internet, a lot of people make it seem like that's what it's all about. Maybe for some people it is. I don't know. But when I look up to the Founding Fathers, it was actually their courage and their steadfastness that they used to remain calm, to unite around common principles, to strategize, to plan, and to try to do it the right way. Because at that time, remember, being loyal British subjects, they were going through the proper channels. You're supposed to write a letter to Parliament. You're supposed to get equal representation. You're not allowed to be taxed without representation. See, a lot of the things that the colonists were suffering under became the core fundamentals in the official law of the land when the United States Constitution was finally written 1788. Bill of Rights written 1789, ratified 1791. Here we find ourselves today, 247 years after July 4th, 1776. And I'll be darned, but when you read the Declaration of Independence, and I am going to read it tonight, we're going through the vast majority of the same exact grievances that the colonists were. Some of them might not be germane on their face, but principally speaking, we're actually suffering under the same type of tyrannical government, and I would add this, even to a higher extent now than we were when the Declaration of Independence was written. And now here we find ourselves, 247 years later, we're 99% of people. I'm talking people, the vast majority that I talk to vote Republican. They're conservative. They'll tell you everything. And I haven't had anybody wish me a happy Independence Day yet, to be honest. So I want to wish all of you a happy Independence Day right now. Because that's what it is. It's Independence Day that happened to land on the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Beer, not Bud Light, but beer, hot dogs, family get-togethers, a day at the beach, volleyball in the backyard, fireworks. Yeah. The rockets ride glare, the bombs bursting in air. Yeah, fireworks, obviously. But this is Independence Day. And even among most people that we tend to side with, it's just been relegated to the darn old 4th of July. There's Juneteenth and there's the 4th of July, right? They're just some day in July where you get the day off of work and can whatever. I know all of you watching this right now know that that's not what it's all about. Although, look, we should spend time with family on July 4th, Independence Day. I don't drink, but if you do and that's what you're into, have a beer. If you want to enjoy fireworks, that's great too. You want to shoot guns? That's even more fun, in my opinion, than fireworks on Independence Day. Those are all perfectly good things. I just hope some of you remind some of your friends and some of your family when you're hanging out this July 4th. It's subtle stuff, but I'm telling you, this is how we lose culture and how we forget our history. Just kind of, and I don't mean to get into a big lecture or preach to them. If you want to, you can, that's fine, but you don't need to. Just say, when someone says, hey, happy 4th of July, say happy Independence Day. Because what's really interesting is I've actually said happy Independence Day to a couple people recently. They're like, man, I'm getting holiday weekend off. I'm like, well, happy Independence Day. I hope you have a good one. And they're like, what? I'm like, well, you just said you're excited about the holiday weekend. Happy Independence Day. 4th of July, they'll correct me. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's the date in Congress, July 4th, 1776. Yeah, obviously, that's the day we celebrate it. But it's not called the July 4th document. Because there could have been a number of documents written on July 4th. Say there was a document. Just think about this hypothetically. Now, this is the date that it's dated. It was probably written a few days before that because they had to have time to get it all signed. And I've actually seen that firsthand in Lansing, Michigan. Just to dispel, some people will say, well, Independence Day really isn't July 4th. Well, maybe not on a technicality, but I say yes, it actually is because that's the day it's dated. But I've seen this in Lansing, Michigan. I'll give you guys a real quick example. It still kind of works this way today. You'll have representatives that want to put forth a resolution. Be it resolved that the Michigan House of Representatives wants to condemn all this gun control, let's just say. That would be a good resolution. Well, the resolution may have the date of July 1st written on it because that's the day they're going to submit it to the clerk. But they'll start like a week in advance so that they have time to filter through all the office aides to talk to the representatives and say, here, we need you to sign this. Like actually put your name and put the ink to the pen to the paper, right? So certainly this document was written before July 4th, 1776. And it took them time to get all of the signers, which there were many. Not many considering how many colonists there were, but many considering what they had to lose if they would have lost. But it takes a few days to get stuff signed and to get it actually ready to go. But the date of the letter in Congress, July 4th, 1776. What if that letter would have just been something like, King of England, we're sick and tired. We're sick and tired once and for all. Tax RT another 1%, and we're going to even be more mad. And we'll send you a more strongly worded letter next month. Say that was the letter that they had sent on July 4th. Well, probably wouldn't even really remember that right now. Might be able to find it in the archives, might not be able to, but it wouldn't really mean much. The reason why this particular declaration, notification, letter was written, why it means so much is it's called the Declaration of Independence. And that's why, in my opinion, July 4th is not just some other random day in July. It's Independence Day. And I'm happy about that. And I'm encouraged about that. I'm going to get into the Declaration in a few more minutes. Some of you probably want to know what I'm talking about in the headline. More Michigan gun control. I'm going to get into that in 1 second. And I have an article from Great Lakes Gun Rights that I'm going to read. But I do want to stop real quick and thank all of you for making this show possible. All of you who support on here, whether it's the generous super chats that some of you leave from time to time on these streams, Patreon supporters, channel members, and also local supporters. Make sure you guys are a member of my locals. I keep saying it, but I do weekly live streams over there where I touch guns, lots of bonus footage, stuff that I can't do here. And before the stream's over tonight, I'm going to give away several things on locals throughout this next week to celebrate Independence Day. And you guys are going to want to be over there for you to have a chance. I've also been doing extra supporters videos. So if you're a Patreon supporter, go over on my Patreon page and check. I think there's about 4 videos I put up in the last week that are cool behind the scenes videos. And of the people that have seen those, I've gotten good feedback. Channel members also have access to those. I know a lot of you guys were gifted channel memberships. Before that expires, if you renew, you guys are going to keep on getting behind the scenes footage. And I have 2 more videos that I need to edit. And You guys will see some more stuff of me working on the shop when I'm not doing 2A EDU stuff. And that would also apply to all the supporters over on locals. So if you've been following this YouTube channel, and if you're new, just go back. Welcome, first of all, welcome. But if you didn't know, I've done a lot of videos about Michigan gun control. And there's a lot of it that's already passed, a lot of it that's pending, and a lot of it that's going to be progressing. I did 2 videos. First, letting you guys know about a complete and utter firearms ban at the Michigan State Capitol building. Completely. Okay. And told you guys the skinny on it. It's on the channel. When this is over, by the way, I know a lot of you listen to the replay. I will put that in the pinned comment, the links to these 2 videos I'm going to reference. I can't do it right now because the comment section doesn't generate until I'm done with the live. Right? Complete and utter Capitol ban. And this is from the Capitol Commission. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should watch this video. Even if you don't live in Michigan, it's kind of scary and kind of like literally crazy. Okay, I went on to do a follow-up in Lansing with 2 Michigan State representatives, Representative Jamie Thompson and Representative Rochelle Smith. That's also on my channel. I'll link that in the pinned comment below this as well when I'm done talking all about it. Got a couple representatives' viewpoints. Look, this is draconian. This is insane. This is like the ATF banning stuff on a federal level. Totally unconstitutional every time. Because the ATF and it's in and of itself is unconstitutional. So for them to even exist. Well, they took what's called this Capitol Commission, which was originally created when the Michigan State Capitol, this was under Governor Snyder, he made a Capitol Commission when they officially declared the Michigan Capitol building to be a historic landmark or historic site. So they said, well, we have to preserve the paintings on the wall. We have to preserve the woodworking within the building, the tile floor. Maybe there's a repair that would need done on the roof. The lawn needs mowed, mulch in the mulch beds. Now we're up my alley with what I do for a living, right? Trimming the hedges, all that. Okay. That's what that Capitol Commission was set up for. And now, under the totalitarian, tyrannical dictatorship of the Michigan Democrats, which control everything right now in the Capitol, no, literally all of it. The Michigan Supreme Court, the Secretary of State, oh yeah, the Attorney General, definitely, Lieutenant Governor, Governor, Speaker of the House, and President of the Senate. Look, everything's controlled by Democrats in Michigan. We are quickly moving to the left of California. Now, I talk about Second Amendment stuff here, but there's other stuff that's just as earth-shaking and shattering. Like, Michigan is like, look, I don't even know if like the Soviet Union, when they were up, would have accepted them. Like, it's beyond even something that I can describe. It's getting so bad with so many things. However, this Capitol Commission's gun ban. So this Capitol Commission said, we're just going to ban guns from the Capitol, and it's going to cost us at least $5 million, and we're going to put up these advanced scanners, metal detectors, electromagnetic devices, creepy AI weird stuff with cameras, and yeah, it's really draconian. One more time, I'll leave the links down in the description if you guys are watching this on replay. So Gretchen Whitmer said, well, I'll make it happen. I have the $5 million. Coming to find out, she actually didn't. So last night, the Michigan House of Representatives was in session for 12 hours. When they're in session 12 hours, you know there ain't going to be a good day the next day, or weeks, or months, or years. I don't know if it'll ever be good in Michigan again, actually, with ballot proposal 2. And look, I don't even know if there'll ever be another election in Michigan, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's really, really bad. It's going to be hard to vote our way out of this one. Still trying to offer encouragement. Took my state representative out shooting, and I posted that video on YouTube yesterday. It said not much response from notifications, so I'm guessing maybe notifications didn't go out so much. Maybe YouTube doesn't like a positive video. A lot of you guys have said, look, dude, we need to see something positive. There's too much doom and gloom. Well, tonight's a positive stream. And I put out a super fun, positive video. It involves shooting guns and all of that. It's my least viewed video for the time it's been put up in 2 months. So they're either shadow banning the heck out of it, or people don't want to see a positive video, don't want to see shooting guns at the range. But I have a feeling I know what the answer is. So make sure you go back and check on my channel for that recent video. So they needed $5 million so this Capitol Commission could ban every gun in the Michigan Capitol. And late at night, while you may or may not have been asleep, it did pass. Now, you're thinking to yourself, well, of course it passed because there's a Democrat majority in the Michigan House of Representatives. Now, it passed the Michigan House of Representatives. You've got the Senate, and then, of course, and it passed the Senate, and now it's going to be going to the governor. She's going to sign it. This is the budget for the state of Michigan. But here's the problem. Can you guys guess what's going to come next? Go ahead. You guys know what's coming next. Let me say this one more time. Of course, every single Democrat, because they unite every single time. There's one thing they're good at. Standing united, no matter what. Every Democrat has voted for gun control every time in Lansing, Michigan. And in my opinion, they always will. That's where they're a lot better than Republicans at doing what they promise their voters they're going to do. Now, I'm not saying their ideology is correct. I'm not saying that's better like in a good way. I just mean like when they say that they're against the Second Amendment and that if they can get power, they will completely and utterly destroy it. They mean every last word of it. And they actually follow through. Now, almost all Republicans, probably everyone at a certain point will tell you, I'm pro-Second Amendment. You have to elect me to save you from the Democrats. So I've given you guys enough teasers. You know what happened next. Of course, Republicans came and joined over with the Democrats to allow this completely tyrannical overreach of basically a bureaucracy. This is like Michigan's new ATF, if you want to call it that. Think about it. Just making a rule that makes it where this whole building and property that isn't owned by them, it's owned by me and you and all of us. This is bureaucracy. You don't vote on the people that sit on the Michigan Capitol Commission, just like you don't vote for the people that are in the CIA or the FBI or the ATF. Not that you trust the people that you do vote for, because I know you guys don't, but you also definitely don't trust people that are in these dark, creepy corners of the swamp. Boy, what would these guys... These were real men, by the way. And there's been this facade that we've had really good times in this country, I guess. And I guess good times make weak men, and we're certainly weak because will we even be talking... I'm going to read these guys' names when I read the Declaration of Independence, but... Shout out to Georgia, by the way. Here's the people that signed from Georgia. Do you think Button, Gwinnett, or Lyman Hall, or George Walton... Look, they signed their names to a death sentence if they would have lost. If they would have lost, this was a death sentence. No matter what, don't even think about it. Gone. What do you think those guys would have said? Sir, we the people can't carry to the Capitol because an unnamed, unknown group of people in a secret commission, shady as all get out, they declared it so and said, here's the rules. No. Wow. Think about that. 247 years ago. They wrote this great Declaration of Independence, and it is a great document. Besides the Bible, and look, guys, I don't preach on here. I'm not condemning your soul if you're not a Christian, but I am. And I'm sorry, but I'm never, ever, ever going to apologize to anybody about that. I just want to make that clear. And I hope you respect me for that. But look, besides the Bible, the Holy Bible, which I do believe is God's word, the Declaration of Independence, probably the greatest darn thing ever written that I've read. What would have those guys done if there was a Capitol Commission? I don't know. But I don't think they would have allowed it to happen to you. You want to know who your state representatives are if you live in Michigan or elsewhere? This is good for all of you guys to know about. By the way, yeah, the American flag is still the flag of this country, by the way, and it should be flown front and center at the White House. By the way, I just saw something about the flag, and I agree. The rainbow is God's covenant to Noah and to all of us, all who believe, to all believers, that he'll never destroy the earth with a massive flood again. That's what the rainbow means, and it'll always mean that for me. And if you fly any other flag front and center at the White House, probably should be considered a form of high treason or something that's highly illegal. You guys want to know who the turncoats are here? State representatives. Some of these I don't know personally, but one of them, and if you're watching, hey, you voted how you voted, and if you want to come on the channel and talk about it, I'll give you a microphone. But one of these people I've actually spent some time with and gotten to know a little bit, and she's told me face to face a few times she's a pretty big fan of the channel. But I got to call you all out because people need to know. Here's who voted for Michigan House Bill 4437, which contains gun control. And I'll read what it says real quick. Section 651.1, and this is from Great Lakes Gun Rights, which is a great organization. I'm a member. I suggest you guys join if you live in Michigan. Funds appropriated in Part 1 for the Michigan State Capitol Commission must be allocated as follows. A, $5 million to provide security, staffing, infrastructure improvements, and equipment, including but not limited to X-ray machines, magnetometers, however you pronounce that, magnetometers. Oh, that's going to be real good for you. Extreme electromagnetic waves and X-ray machines. To go see your public servants in the people's house and people's senate? Are you kidding me right now? But it continues. And video and audio equipment necessary. This is sci-fi, algorithmic, weird stuff with this. It's not just, this ain't your mama's like security camera with a VHS built into the TV. No. This is thought crime. Like, they can watch you coming from down the street and use AI to algorithmically compute. And I reported pretty extensively on this a couple months back. And audio equipment necessary to implement a weapons ban, including a ban on concealed pistols under 1927 Public Act 372. Gun control has been going on in Michigan about 100 years now. I've said that before. In any building or portion of a building under control of the Michigan State Capitol Commission. Every Democrat in the Michigan House of Representatives voted for this. Hey, this is what it is. I mean, these representatives voted for this, not me. I didn't vote. I didn't run. I'm not a state representative, and I never will be. But these people are, and I'm pretty sure all of these will tell you they're pro-gun. They're pro-2A. Sarah Leitner voted for House Bill 4437, which was a budget, and I just read you an excerpt from that. That's gun control. Sarah Leitner. Mark Tisdale, Republican, Michigan representative, voted for House Bill 4437. Mark Tisdale. Mike Mueller is a Republican, voted along with every single Democrat for House Bill 4437 with its draconian gun control bills. And hey, this next one is what it is. She's been at a lot of 2A rallies. She's a fan of the channel, she says, which is awesome. Gina Johnson voted for House Bill 4437, which contains that subsection, which is draconian gun control. Not allowing her or me or you or anybody to be armed within that Capitol or other buildings that are under control of the Capitol Commission. I don't know how many buildings there are, but this has any building or portion. Bill Schuette. Now, there was a Bill Schuette that was Attorney General of Michigan before. This is his son, Bill Schuette. I've heard him say he's pro-Second Amendment before. Don't know him particularly well, but Bill Schuette, Republican. Remember, there's two. This is his son, if you will. Or the other one's his dad. I'm not trying to be disrespectful there with him. However you want to word it. This is the son of the two Bill Shooties that are both been in high politics in Michigan, but I am going to say I'm not happy with him at all. I'm voting for gun control. So there he is. Here's your state senators. John Bumstead, Bumstad, voted for gun control, or a package that contains severe gun control. John DeMoose. I'm saying their name several times so people can write it down. Mark Huizenga. Mark Huizenga voted with every single Democrat. These are Michigan senators. Mark Huizenga. Ed McBroom. These people all claim to be pro-Second Amendment when they campaign. Maybe some of these guys are your senators or reps. Ed McBroom, Senator McBroom, voted for this package which had gun control. Rick Outman voted for this package which contains draconian gun control. Rick Outman, Outman. And Michael Weber voted for it. These are Republicans. So that leaves us. Michael Weber makes it the Senate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Republican senators came over. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Republican representatives came over. I don't know what you guys think about that, but when this stream's over, I'll leave you a link to this article by Great Lakes Gun Rights. And I can't see any reason ever to compromise on the Second Amendment, no matter what. Or the Michigan Constitution, it's Article 1, Section 6. These 11 people saw something. They want to come on the channel and tell you guys, maybe they'll convince you, maybe what they have to say about supporting gun control is more compelling than what I can say about it. I don't know. If any of them are watching right now, get a hold of me. You either have my number. If not, half of the Michigan House of Representatives does. You can get my number if you want it. And I will have you on the show and we'll talk. I won't be mean to you, nothing like that. I won't be disrespectful. Now, I'll condemn your actions of voting for gun control, obviously, but I ain't a mean-spirited person. Everybody knows that. So you can come on if you want and talk about it. One other representative that was not there to vote, actually two. And I just want to tell you guys a little bit of information I have that you may or may not know. I did some of you guys see a Republican that doesn't vote and you're like, wait a minute, they didn't vote. Does that mean they were just sitting there and we're like, okay with it? I mean, that's possible. But in this case, there's two representatives, and I can tell you why they've not been voting recently in Lansing. First one is Representative Bob Bazat. Very pro-Second Amendment. Bob Bazat has been out of Lansing for a little while due to a surgery. I don't know how much he's made that public, but for medical reasons. And when I did the video with him in his office, which I think was a great video, if you guys want to go back and watch it from a few weeks ago, I knew that was coming up ahead of time. It was something he couldn't put off anymore. He had to do it. So medical reasons for him. My state representative, Jamie Thompson, she did not vote either on this package, simply because a couple days ago, her father had, and I can say this has been made publicly available. I reposted her Facebook post, okay, if you guys want to go give her encouragement, and if you guys want to give Representative Bazat and or Representative Thompson and her family your prayers, they probably need it right now. But her father had a massive heart attack, one that was very life-threatening to say the least. I haven't checked my feed in a few hours, but as of a few hours ago, he's still alive. But you never know. So she ran down to the Lexington, Kentucky area to be with her dad after a massive heart attack that they definitely didn't know if he was going to make it. And I hope he's making it so far and that he'll recover. So that's what happened. Bob Bazat had medical needs that he could not postpone and for himself. And you can't predict that, like with Jamie's case, when your dad has a heart attack. So I'm not going to speak for her, how she would have voted, but I'll tell you this. I don't think you would have seen her name on that list, if you know what I mean, that I just read. So I think we would have been happy with her vote, but hey, Sometimes stuff happens. It's a very, very important duty to vote when you're elected to be a representative or senator. But man, I ain't going to cast that stone on anybody, even if it's a Democrat. Okay, it doesn't matter who they are. If somebody's dad has a massive heart attack and they're like, we don't know if he'll make it through the night, you jump in your car, whatever you can do, and you got to go. That's my opinion on that. So that's why I know a lot of you guys look at these votes and you'll see people that didn't vote and you'll start to question. And it's good to question. But I can tell you with those two representatives, because I know both of them personally, and I just had that information to share for you. So, and if you guys want to keep up with that, State Representative Jamie Thompson is the name of her official Facebook page, and I'm following it over there, and you can check out my channel too, or whatever on Facebook, and that's a place where a lot of these politicians are, and I've been reposting her updates so you guys could know what's going on. I'm going to read a couple of these super chats, and man, what do you guys think? If you could get those super chats queued up, Linda, I'm going to take a look at the chat, and then we're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence. I mean, this is good. This is good stuff. There's some doom and gloom. We have to talk about that. But there's some good stuff. And when it comes to the Declaration of Independence, it's one of my favorite things to talk about. And I'm real excited this July 4th to be celebrating Independence Day, for sure. Crazy Heathen, man. Dude, I went to your rally at the courthouse that you and your friend Dean hosted. It was a wonderful rally. I had a great time. Everyone there was so cool. I don't know if Always Survives in the chat goes by Jessica Mesner. I know you guys are a couple. You guys were there. I know Yellow Dog was there. I mean, who else am I missing? I'm going to miss somebody. I shouldn't start mentioning names, but I saw some of you guys that I saw out of the corner of my eye earlier in the chat at that rally, and it was a great time. And we had what's supposed to be 3 of the most pro-Second Amendment representatives in the state of Michigan at that rally. Now, there are some good ones. There are. Some of them I just don't know. But we had State Representative Angela Regas there. Angela's a friend of mine. If Angela does us wrong, I'll be on her calling her out as fast as I possibly can, because I actually like her quite a bit. And the more I like you, the more I'm going to call you out, whoever you are out there. Rochelle Smet, I actually really like her too. I've done a video with Rochelle. I've done pictures with Angela. She's like super awesome public speaker, but she always gets camera shy on me. But she's really cool, and she's a friend of mine, and totally hooked my daughter up with a bunch of cool swag when we visited some of their offices in Lansing a couple weeks ago. Those two spoke at the rally that I told you guys about, that Phil, Crazy Heathen, and his friend Dean put on, and others. I'm not trying to leave anybody out here, but you guys probably know the rally I was talking about. Wonderful rally. And State Representative Gina Johnson was there. And look, guys, I've had conversations with Gina Johnson. I've been over to what's called the White House, where a lot of the representatives meet and have prayer and stuff. I mean, I don't know her as well as like my state rep, Jamie Thompson. I don't want to embellish and say me and Gina Johnson are best friends, but I do actually know her. And she knows this channel, and I don't know that she watches every minute of this or anything like that, but I know she watches my videos, and she voted for that budget. And I've been trying to be very fair the way I word this. It wasn't just an isolated gun control bill. It wasn't. And Gina has voted against the actual specific gun control bills. However, when you put a whole paragraph of draconian gun control, we're talking like really weird stuff that's like weird even beyond gun control, Second Amendment issues, like these AI cameras and like X-rays and magnetometers, whatever the heck they're called. From an unelected, weird, like dark basement lurking group. Man, I'll tell you what. I'm really disappointed in how Gina voted for that. And her vote's public knowledge. And I have to bring it to you guys here. And I see Crazy Heathen kind of thinking to himself, man, ooh, I don't know. You speak for yourself in the chat, man. I don't know if she's someone you would consider a friend, not a friend. I just don't want to speak for you, but I know you guys know each other. Sometimes this stuff happens. But I'll tell you guys what. If I was in the Michigan House of Representatives, now this is what's crazy, right? That the whole saying, people who want power usually don't deserve it. People who deserve power usually don't want it. And I'll be telling you what, I do not want it. Okay? Like, do not want to be any type of representative or senator. Like, never, ever, ever, ever. But if I were to be in the Michigan House of Representatives or in the Michigan Senate, it could literally say, the bill could be, the sky's blue and it's beautiful. And I go, yes. We need to stop once in a while when we're working like a dog. I'm a landscaper. You guys know that. Barely breathed the last 3 days. Surprised I'm not hacking up a lung right now. It's so foggy. Like, you can barely even see sometimes across the property. There's so much smoke from Canada. It's hot out there. It's miserable. But even today, I saw one of my customers' rose bushes came into bloom. And it could, the bill could say, the sky's blue and it's beautiful. And I would say, yes, I agree. I'm starting to like this bill. You need to stop sometimes when you're caught up in the rat race of life or just working like a dog outside or wherever you work, and just stop and like look at flowers and stuff, which I do. And those are beautiful. And the bill could say, and nature's beauties like flowers and wildlife are beautiful. And I'd be like, oh, I really, really like this bill. And black raspberries, the wild black raspberries, those are ripe right now. One of my customers that doesn't eat them at all, like the birds will just get them. I sat there and munched on them for 20 minutes. Part of the reason probably I was late for this stream tonight. In all fairness, I'll be honest with you guys about this stuff. But look, and it can say black raspberries are wonderful, and they are. The wild raspberries. Oh, gosh. And I can say, oh, that bill's awesome. And then I can say the Capitol Commission is hereby given $5 million for draconian jackboot. And I'm like, nope. I'm sorry, I have to vote no on all of it. If there was a bill that literally had the most beautiful stuff in the world in it, and then the last sentence said there will be a 1 cent extra tax imposed to own a firearm in Michigan, but everything else out of it was the most beautiful thing ever, and they literally wanted to add a 1 cent tax or make a 1 minute delay. Just humor me here. A 1 minute waiting period or a 1 penny tax, I'd vote no on all of it, no matter what. But apparently, for these 11 Republicans in the House and Senate, there must have been so much wonderful stuff in there to reprogram and gender our kids and get rid of the First Amendment and get rid of the Second Amendment. And besides all that stuff they're doing, there must have been so much wonderful stuff in this bill. They just had to go against the Second Amendment in Michigan Article 1, Section 6. But to me, it could have been like 100 pages of beauty. And if it had a 1 minute waiting period or a 1 cent tax or anything, if it would have just said the word firearms in it at all, and it was anything to control, obviously, I would have voted against it. But hey, that's just how life works. I don't have a vote in the Michigan House of Representatives and Senate, but these people do, and they did vote. I'm very disappointed in their votes. DLD After Dark with a super chat. Thanks, man, and a channel member. I appreciate you, dude. He says, if a government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute a new government. Yes. Happy Independence Day. Dude, I love this whole document. I'm going to read it to you guys in just a little bit. It's wonderful. And that is one of the lines that's the most encouraging to me. Look, guys, like I'm so bummed out the way all these rhinos, Republicans, whatever you want to call them, in Michigan just voted. But, man, I got to stay encouraged. I'm encouraged about that frames and receivers rule getting batted down. I'm encouraged to get to hang out with you guys right now. I really am. There's some good people in here. And I can tell a lot of you guys have been watching this channel for a couple years now. And, man, some pretty solid-based people in this chat. And I can't read all of it live. But don't think that means I don't get to read it, because I do enjoy getting some inspiration and encouragement from reading all the stuff you guys say, and some wisdom. You guys teach me a lot. Don't forget that. And I'm inspired by, just think, 247 years ago. Man, what a beautiful thing, the Declaration of Independence. Go ahead, Linda. Queue up a couple more here if you're still with me. I know I get rambling on sometimes. Thank you. Linda's awesome, by the way. I hope you guys are thanking her for all the help and patience she has with the channel. A lot of it that you don't see. She's pretty modest. She doesn't want you to thank her, but I'll thank you, Linda. Member super chat from QD. What's happening, QD? How you doing, man? QD has been his First Amendment and has been squashed pretty good. But I'm glad you're here, man, and thanks for the member super chat. He says, God save the Queen and her war with Iraq. Happy 4th, you dinguses. Oh, man, I hope you're keeping your chin up, dude. Nice to see you in the chat tonight, for real. QD's a good dude. I've gotten to hang out with him in real life and on here. And, dude, everyone I've hung out with in real life, man, are awesome people. Supporters, keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be having the 2A EDU hangout coming soon. Well, it'll be this fall, but I'll be announcing it soon. Hopefully I can meet a few more of you in real life. A couple other things going on. Melinda gets those queued up. There's going to be a rally July 19th. It was going to be in Lansing. I announced that. If I had my preferences, I still wish it was in Lansing. I thought it was very valuable to have it in Lansing. So these politicians, especially these Republicans, had to walk through the rally to go in there. And for that reason, I still wish it was in Lansing. However, it's been moved due to, as I've been told, some restrictions that were put on the event by probably the Michigan Capitol Commission, actually. Whoever does that stuff at the Capitol, go figure. So it's now in Ionia. I'm going to be posting it on my channel. But there's another good channel on YouTube called Crazy Heathen. He's in the chat. He's already posted that. You'll get to see who the speakers are, with the top headliner being Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be coming to Michigan. And I just found this out yesterday. I'm actually going to be speaking at that rally. And I will definitely be mingling if you guys want to meet me. And I don't know. I'm actually a little bit nervous. I don't usually speak in front of actual groups of people. I'm a little bit kind of shy. No, I seriously am. But even though I'm really nervous, I'm honored to and excited. And my name's not on the flyer. I don't know if they're going to do another flyer with it on there. But yesterday, I did agree that I would speak at that event, and that is July 19th in Ionia. Crazy Heathen posted it, and I will be posting it on my channel soon too. There's also going to be an event in Michigan, July 18th in Flat Rock, Michigan. This is a fundraiser. Probably doesn't appeal to a lot of you, and I don't donate much money to politics at all, but I'll be darn tootin' if my state representative is going to go to Lansing and fight like hell for the Second Amendment, which she has been. I'm going to fight like hell for her in the court of public opinion. You guys saw us shooting together on the range, teaching her, refreshing her on how to shoot. And she's real eager to do more follow-up videos on it. I'm going to have her back as much as I can. Talking about her like I am right now. I'm trying to encourage people that there are still some good ones out there. But she is having a fundraiser dinner in Flat Rock. I have posted that here. I'll post it again. And I'm going to be there with the lovely Linda, Ultra Mega Mama Linda. So I will be there at that. And that's probably all I'll be able to afford to donate to any politician. But I am going to buy 2 tickets because that goes to her campaign. And, man, I just got to put my money where my mouth is. And she's my state representative. So I'm going to have her back there. And if you guys are in that district and feel the same way, it's an excellent opportunity for her to support and have some fellowship and hang out with other good people. Wild Times with the super chat. Thanks, man. And a channel member. And you've been around a long time too, man. Like I said, so many good people. It says important stuff you're talking about tonight. Always love the streams. Well, thank you. And this is very important stuff. And I didn't write any of it. I'm just a landscaper in my shop. And you guys are just whatever the heck you are. But, man, we're all really, really important if we start acting like it. And we really need to be encouraged with wins and ticked off at defeats. And we need to right this country. There's a lot of wrong in it, but there's a lot of good in it at the same time. Wouldn't you guys say? Thanks for the encouragement. You guys literally gave so many encouraging comments on that video I did with State Representative Jamie Thompson. And look, we could have done it in 5 minutes. You guys know that. I'm a busy person. She's a busy person. In 5 minutes, we could have gone over what gun she liked to shoot. But no, we got to talking, and she's like, no, we need more people that can defend themselves in this state, more good people and more Second Amendment supporters. She's like, let's do this together. She's like, you're 2A EDU. You're a dude. You have all the people that follow you. She's like, I can give like a woman's perspective, and we'll try to help new shooters. And then you heard her at the end of that video. She said she's looking forward to doing a follow-up where she can show different ways to conceal, like wearing different dress clothes. And I hope that's actually like good information that some of you can pass on. And I told you guys the other reason I was really excited to do that. Just to like, we can sit here all day long, and we should all day long. Like, politicians suck. And like, they really, really do. Like, you think of like Washington, D.C., the former vice president, and like, you think of all these people, like, I'll be fair, both parties, right? Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer. Yeah, you ain't going to go talk to them, like, whatever and stuff. I'm not saying that that's not important. That's very important. But, yeah, you're not going to. You guys might be surprised. And that was one of my main reasons to want to do that video with her, that you might actually be able to talk about guns and the Second Amendment and shooting and different ways to carry with your state representative, with your county commissioner, your township trustee, city councilman, state senator. And yeah, almost all of them do suck. Like, I'm not naive at all, guys, but there are a few good ones. And so often we just complain about everything we don't like, and we just spend too much negative energy on that we don't have the time and energy to actually like try to get behind things that are positive. And if she loses the next election and is never a state representative again, she's going to be my friend. I like the lady. We get along. I like her as a person a lot. She's a really, really good person. But I thought there'd be something cool about being like, guys, look, if a nobody landscaper sitting in his messy shop can go to Lansing enough to actually like make a difference to get to where we're shooting with state reps on camera, and look, people's emotions don't lie. You guys could tell she was sincere. She was into it. She was having legit fun. And hopefully that just helps a little bit with this darn culture war that we have to win. We have to make the Second Amendment normal again. We have to make the Second Amendment cool again. And we need to complain like crazy and hold accountable at the polls any politician or representative that goes against it. But you're a hypocrite if you don't support and uplift the ones that are doing a good job. Look at their voting record. I provide it for you guys here in Michigan. If you're in another state, you're going to have to look it up yourself or follow a channel that's keeping track of all that in your state. You guys understand I just don't have the time in the day to keep track of the 49 others, but it's really hard just to keep track of all this circus and zoo that's going on in Lansing, right? I know when the state of Texas, the great state of Texas, was doing like a huge push. There was a time where Texas had, only a couple years ago, right, Clover Tech? I see you in the chat, where Texas had some draconian gun control laws and restrictions that made it worse than Michigan. And this is like Texas. That ain't right. A lot of people from Texas got involved in that, and you guys were really able to get rid of some prior restrictions to make Texas more free when it comes to your right to keep and bear arms. And I remembered that, man. I wasn't as passionate about it as you were, and I'm giving a shout out to the Clover Tech channel, by the way. I encourage you guys look him up on YouTube. He's Clover Tech right here in the chat on YouTube and many other places. But look, this dude was like streaming, and he was going to the Capitol and doing a lot of the stuff I've been doing. And I'm like, dude, like, it's kind of sort of none of my business what happens in Texas. I was thinking to myself a few years back when he was doing all that, but it is my business because this is still part of the United States. And to kind of watch people do that kind of stuff, it kind of gave me a little passion where it's like, well, there's going to be a time and place in Michigan where I was hoping to be the opposite. I was hoping I could get to do what Clover Tech was doing and get to go in there with a big Republican supermajority and get them to stop being rhinos, and we'd cram a bunch of good pro-gun legislation through that would repeal stuff. I was waiting for that day, and that's what I was really looking forward to, and it didn't work that way. But the Michigan Democrats have only taken the House and Senate by really 2 seats, but really one would make it a tie. If one seat flipped, it would make it a tie. And we're so darn close. It's heading bad, guys. It's almost too late. But I don't want to give up yet. I want to keep encouraging the pro-Second Amendment reps and senators we have and encourage you guys to actually make a change. I didn't want to be going to Lansing under these terms at all. I hate losing. And every single cause I've been fighting for in Lansing, I've been losing every single time this year. And it sucks, and I hate it. I really do. I hate the evil that's going on in this capital, and I don't like losing, but man, I can't do nothing, or that means I'm totally cool with it and stuff, right? So I'm going to keep fighting like hell in Lansing as long as I can, and if there's a victory in sight, I'm going to be fighting for some victories in the future too. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. There's a time for everything. But right this minute, I'm going to keep fighting up to the next election, and we'll just see what happens, what the realities are. Mateo 1371 with a super chat. Thanks, man. And he's reminding all of you to leave a thumbs up. That's a way to support the channel and to support the video, right? Appreciate all you guys. It's just real quick. Just hit the thumbs up. If for no other reason than to like tick off. Look, guys. Here we go. She's called Susan Wiki. She's not the head of YouTube anymore, but she still works there. They said she only still works there just for this channel. So I wanted to give her a shout out. Okay. And all the YouTube employees that enjoy this video. But if you just want to tick her off a little bit, give me a thumbs up. What makes me happy makes her sad sometimes. So just for no other reason than that. And all the hard work that you do, Mateo. Thanks, man. The last thing I expect or want from you is a super chat. Like, if this channel was like profitable, by the time I pay for everything to run it, I should be paying you for all the work you do to help behind the scenes. But I appreciate it, dude. Another one from Mateo. Jeez, oh, Pete, man. I'm going to have to hitchhike. Well, I guess she's already down there. Never mind. I was like, I'll have to hitchhike with Representative Thompson to get down to Kentucky to rough you up. Like I said, I should owe you money. But thanks for the super chat, Mateo. What's this? Looks like a shout out. Hold on a minute. Shout out to the DLD channel. Wow, big shout out coming from Mateo to the DLD channel. He says, putting in legit work with zero shortcuts. Hey, big shout out from Mateo to DLD. And look, there's channels out there that take shortcuts, that try to hack this and that and do different things. But I will say this about the DLD channel. I agree with Mateo. He's been working hard ever since he started that channel. He's in a little trouble right now. Okay. He's in a little trouble right now with YouTube, but he does put in the hard work. Good night, Chris Plummer. What happened to the neon sign? I just moved it in the other room. I'll move it back into the set soon. I knew somebody was going to notice that. I wanted to enjoy it somewhere else for a little bit, and I was so busy up until the point of the stream tonight, like out there, like, do you guys have smoke where you're at right now? Like, so smoky here the last few days. I can taste it. It's like burning. My eyes are burning. Like, it's rough right now. Okay. I've got a smile on my face because I'm happy about Independence Day. I'm happy to be here with all of you. And boy, oh boy, besides all that, I am completely miserable. So hard to breathe. Just, like, it's so smoky around here right now. Insane. Hey, now, Clover just said, oh boy. See, there's always one of those in the chat. Oh boy. He says, don't hate on some of us who work hard to find those shortcuts. What's happening, Mr. C? How you doing, man? Thanks for the super chat. It says, want America back. I do too. I think a lot of people do right now. Look, guys, there's some good stuff going on in this country, though. I'll tell you what, we need to get some good energy from that because there's also some bad stuff. Let's just be fair about it, right? I'm going to read this in just a few minutes. Just a usual day in California. Jeez, oh, Pete. Chanzig said, wow, that sucks, man. But no, it's like really bad right now. So I hope it gets better because it seems like it's just been getting worse every day for the past few days. Patrick Fellers with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. He says, you cannot separate peace and freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. And that was from Malcolm X. Yeah, Malcolm X does have some good quotes. I can't say I would stand behind everything he said, and I'm certainly not saying you do either, but yeah, there's different variations of that quote. If you want peace, you have to prepare for war, right? You cannot separate peace and freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. Yeah. Basically, all of us just want to be left alone, don't we? The founding fathers just kept on and on and on, telling the King of England, leave us alone. But he wouldn't leave him alone. And that's how this country was founded. And we didn't become the central totalitarian federal government of America. That's not supposed to be the name of our country at all. It's the United States of America. The 13 United States of America originally. Now 50. We need to remember that. We're supposed to be states that are united by actually a very loose federal government. And the states are supposed to have more power than the federal government, but even very little compared to we the people. That's what the 10th Amendment says. Now, a lot of people erroneously say the 10th Amendment, that's your states' rights amendment. And I think I know what people mean by that, but we need to watch our words because they're very careful, because there are no states' rights. There's no United States government rights. There's no township rights or city rights or county rights. No. The only people that can have rights are people. We, the people, collectively hold the rights. And that's why the government was supposed to be put in place to preserve these rights, to defend these rights. Shall not be infringed. Congress shall pass no law. That's how the Bill of Rights starts out, doesn't it? I'm going to finish catching up on these chats, and we're going to read exactly why the United States of America's government was created and why it's supposed to exist. Back then and still today, this is why the government should exist. Rudy Finney with a super chat. Thanks, man. Thanks for being so generous. I appreciate it. And a channel member. He says, sorry I'm late. Don't know if you've already covered it yet, but the ATF frame receiver rule was vacated. And I did start that at the beginning. And that's another refresher for all of you. Was vacated. And I'll read that for you guys real quick. This is from a tweet from Firearms Policy Coalition. And this is an excerpt from the end of it. Section 5, conclusion. In sum, the court grants original plaintiffs unopposed motion for leave to provide supplemental authority, and the court denies JSD Supply's proposed motion for injunction as prematurely filed. That sounds bad, but let me finish. It's good. The court grants intervener, plaintiffs, JSD Supplies, and Polymer 80s motions to intervene. Further, for the reasons discussed, the court grants, this is in all caps and bold, plaintiffs and interveners, plaintiffs' motions for summary judgment, denies defendants, that's the government's, cross motion, and vacates the final rule. Separate judgment shall issue as to the appropriate parties and claims. As discussed, Polymer 80 may move for summary judgment on its unique claims to the extent those remaining claims are not mooted by this decision. But that's the important part right there. The court grants plaintiffs and interveners plaintiffs motions for summary judgment, denies defendants cross motions, and all caps and bolds vacates the final rule. So ordered this 30th day of June 2023. Reed O'Connor, United States District Judge, and he's a federal judge. And I'm not a lawyer and don't take legal advice from me, but I do believe that means that there is no more frames and receivers rule in the whole country. The government will probably appeal. Don't know if it'll go too well for them going up through the Fifth Circuit or if it eventually goes to SCOTUS, but we'll see what they decide to do with that. So that's very good news. Yes, absolutely. And I did a video about JSD Supply like 2 years ago. If you guys don't believe me, go look it up. I said, has been, currently is, and will continue to fight for the Second Amendment and with this whole frames and receivers thing, because it was milling around back then. They were floating the idea of it. And I said, I know these guys are going to fight. And they did. So sometimes it is nice to predict something and be right about it. All right. Do I have any more, Linda? I'm going to read a book for you guys in a second. I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence for you in a second. And I'm going to show you guys a couple things I'm going to be giving away on locals, like literally this week. Okay. So don't go away yet. Kurt24 with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. And a channel member and a nice car in the avatar, by the way. He says, gas money for the jet skis for you and Susan Wiki. And I did post a little supporters bonus video. All of you channel members, you should see it when you go to my channel. Patreon, same thing. Supporters over on locals. And I said, well, you can see where me and Susan Wiki's been jet skiing in my waterfront property. I put up the original video publicly on YouTube. You guys have probably seen it by now. I said, but seaweeds done took over. Yep. So there you go. Thanks, man. Jet skis are expensive gas money. As long as it's not completely dried up, you could definitely use that for some fun this weekend. Thanks, man. If you guys want to know what the whole jet skiing and waterfront property things, just go watch my video from a few days ago. It's like 3 minutes, okay? Someone's like, what? I just left a super chat to this guy and he's buying whole lakes and jet skis? Just go watch the video for 3 minutes. Have a little fun sometimes, right? We have a little fun on here once in a while. Looks like Marco Polo's ready to tap out. And I was just getting ready to show you guys. I've already given away like 6 things, but I'll show you guys in 1 second. One of the things that he donated to the channel that I'm going to be giving away on locals like this week. I'll probably actually do the giveaway on the 4th of July. So don't go anywhere, guys. And well, you don't need to stay, Marco, if you've got other plans because you already know what it is because you donated it. So never mind. But thanks, Marco. Ron Wayne with a super chat. What's happening, man? Shout out to the Ron Wayne channel. And we were talking in a chat on his channel the other day. He said, if you give a mouse a cookie. Dude, you think I would forget that? It's been sitting right here the whole time. So I'm going to read you guys a story in a minute. One that you all like. Ultra Mega Mama Linda chiming in. There she is. I always like seeing that pretty face on the screen. All right, what are you saying? She says, thank you to Rudy Fenney for gifting 20 channel memberships. So cool of you. Well, thanks for the generous contribution, Rudy. And some of you guys now have access to those behind the scenes videos. So if you get some extra time, you're extremely bored, or want to know what I do when I'm not doing 2A stuff, there's already at least 4 or 5 videos up for the YouTube channel members. And there's 2 more that I already recorded. I just have to get them edited this weekend. So thank you. And we got another one, a member super chat from Rudy Fenney saying, only doing what I can when I can. Thank you for all for being here. No, dude, we're all just doing what we can when we can. That's awesome, man. He says, thank you all for being here. Remember to smash the like button if you could. Well, thanks, dude. And you've been a long-time friend of the channel, and I really appreciate you being here. There's DLD After Dark. Mateo basically paid to say that you're more legit than a lot of other channels he knows about. That was a pretty big compliment. Ron Wayne channel is pretty darn legit. Who else was in here with good channels tonight? Clover Tech channel I gave a shout out to. Yeah. Crazy Heathen channel. Man, I start mentioning names, I'm going to forget somebody. It's not on purpose, though. Mr. C with another super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And a channel member. He says, thanks for all the great streams. Happy 4th. Well, man, happy 4th Independence Day to you. And I appreciate you being here. And we're trying to be in a good mood. Hey, I mean, we got some good things going on. Crazy Heathen, that's in your area, right? I don't know if she's your rep, but let's figure out what's happening with that representative up there. Up there in mid-Michigan. We got to figure this out, Phil. All right. I'm trying to get Phil's spirits up because it hits close to home when you're putting on rallies, right? Which not many people will do that. It kind of takes a lot of balls to put on a rally because you get put on all these super duper lists, but whatever. Just think of the list the founding fathers put their name on. We're going to read them in 1 minute. you have a rally and people come to support the Second Amendment, and then they vote for this omnibus budget bill that has like this huge poison pill gun control bill in there. Man. See if you can get me some intel on that crazy heathen. Let me know what's going on with that. I'll try to find out too. But lots of encouragement to you, man. Be cool and keep fighting the good fight, Phil. Take it easy, man. All right. So I talked about several things, and I've given away a lot of stuff already on my local streams, okay? Just because I like the terms and conditions better over there. It's literally that simple. I like all you guys that are here, of course. Susan, hey, I'm even taking her out jet skiing this weekend. Not that I like her, because I don't, but I mean, take her out and have a good time, maybe, if the waterfront property hasn't dried up. But yeah, I'm not giving this away right now, but I'm just giving you guys something to look forward to over there. This is an awesome flashlight that was donated by our friend Marco Polo. This is the PowerTech M5. Right? You want to know more about this? I'm literally going to post it tonight when this stream's done. So late night tonight, if not tomorrow. Go over to Locals. You're going to see a post telling you more about this. I have a couple of these. I have the Gen 1. I have the Gen 2, which are awesome lights. Now we're on the Gen 3. And I will actually leave you guys a link in the description here on YouTube for those of you that don't want to go to another site, telling you more about this light as well. But he didn't give this to me to keep. He donated it to the channel to give away to one of you, and I am going to make that post on Locals very late tonight, or it might technically be early tomorrow, but before I go to bed. And when this video is done posting, check the link down in the description for more information on this light. But that's not all. Our friend who goes by Kev Ohio, Kevin, over on Locals, he donated some awesome, cool stuff too. I have a sling, which actually looks like a pretty nice one by looking through here. You're going to see that posted on Locals. I'll probably post the light late tonight, and then stay tuned for that stream tomorrow on Locals and upcoming posts. So we've got this. This is from Kev Ohio. We have an AFG, which is nice. I definitely have these on a couple of my ARs and like them a lot. And we have the skeletonized stock, which I literally have this exact one. Like, I literally have one of these, and I've had it for quite a few years. But like I said with the light, this isn't for me. This is going to be for one of you, and I am doing all this stuff over on Locals. And this is kind of crazy because I guess he did this to coordinate, but maybe not. I don't know if Marco and Kevin talk offline, but I'm going to be giving away this light on Locals. All right. These lights are nice. Check the pinned comment when I'm done. More information on the light. My Locals is down in the description if you're not familiar with that. It's a censorship-free community where I can touch guns live and just promote stuff over there that we can't on YouTube. So we can make it a win-win. But also an M-LOK flashlight mount, which by looking at it would probably actually fit this light, if you know what I mean. So, awesome. Shout out to Marco and Kevin on those. I appreciate you guys doing it, making it fun for my viewers, and whoever wins these will definitely appreciate it. But don't worry, I finally got my debit card back because there was fraudulent charges in California. So I had like no access to money for almost 2 weeks at all. Like any of the little money I bring into the channel that I end up spending back into it, couldn't access it. But also stay tuned. I'm going to give channel supporters first dibs on these, but I have literally a huge stack of both of these magazines, and I finally have access to some money to be able to ship these. So stay tuned. Patreon, Locals. So yeah, give away a whole bunch of stuff here. All right. One more thing I want to tell you guys, and then we're going to read the Declaration of Independence because, dude, it's Independence Day. I'm like, I guess technically only another 3 days here. An hour and a half and 3 days, right? But yeah, like my card was used in California for like $130 at a truck stop restaurant. I'm like, no, and stuff. Like, hell no. They're like, well, we have to cancel your card. You can pay a lot of extra money to get the card expedited. And I'm like, dude, I don't like for the amount of money you guys want to expedite this card, because this is not cheap to ship stuff. I think you guys know that, right? We've had viewers that'll donate stuff. I pay for the shipping. We kind of work together to give you guys stuff just to make it more fun. Taurus and Heritage gave me a bunch of these to give to you guys, but I'm going to pay the shipping. But it's like, they're like, dude, like, whoop. I'm like, no, I don't care if it takes weeks or whatever. I could ship probably like 8 of these magazines or a couple of the stuff you saw here for the cost they wanted. So we just had to wait and didn't have any access to any of the channel money until I could get the old snail mail non-expedited debit card back. So my card just got used in California too. Yeah, well, probably because you live in California. One more thing. Now, I can't really give you guys much of a review here because we're live on YouTube, but tomorrow night on Locals, I'll definitely show this to you. JM4 Tactical. The link for them is down in the description. First of all, they have awesome coffee. All right? Like literally awesome coffee. They also have an awesome line of holsters, including this magnetic retention holster. Okay? It retains with a magnet here. Okay? And it's also magnetic closure. So it retains the tool itself, and it also retains it to your belt. Or actually, I'll show you guys this on Locals tomorrow night because I can't show the item that goes in this, obviously. But you can see I've been using this for quite a while. It's well molded and scratched and whatnot. Awesome. Even without a belt, these work really, really, really good. They have a 25% off sale right now. And that code is FREEDOM. Now, for whoever's watching from YouTube, just calm down, relax. Let's enjoy the weekend together. This is for a holster company, okay? So I can give promo codes out for them. Holsters, awesome coffee too, by the way. And if you guys use my link and buy one of these or other coffee, use my link because then a small percentage will go back to the channel. But the main thing is I want to let you guys know 25% off. That's a huge deal. I posted a post here on YouTube in my community, and I can show you guys like this actually how it functions on Locals, and I have before. But yeah, Herman Oaks leather, like super, super premium leather. Like this is a really, really awesome concept, okay? I'm not joking, guys. Like, yes, if you're going to buy one, use my link. I get some crumbs. It goes back to the channel so I can afford to like give stuff away and do this. Of course, we want to make it a win-win. But I'm not trying to push this just so I can make money. I'll make very little. Like, this is a favor to you guys to actually know about these. I'm not joking. So definitely check it out. If you don't want one, whatever. But if you were to want one, get it for 25% off with code FREEDOM. And that's good through July 4th. And there's different versions of this. And yeah, I don't say that a lot, but I'm like, guys, look, trust me. If you use my link, you're doing me a favor. Sure. But I'm actually doing you the bigger favor by letting you know about these because it can kind of sort of be like a major, major game changer, especially if you don't wear belts. Just watch my local stream tomorrow, or maybe I'll do a 5-minute video as well, and you'll see how awesome this is. Because it's kind of like chewing gum with the wrapper on to show a holster and talk about how awesome it is. But I can't show what goes inside of it and stuff. I just saw something in the chat here. Hold on a minute. Ooh, a lot of you guys use pen names. Randy Smith, is your name? Well, I don't want you to dox yourself. I was going to personalize a magazine to you right now, but your name might not actually be Randy Smith. Or might not be actually Randy. Tell me if your name's actually Randy if you want to. And I will do one right now for you, sir. This has this funny story. Once in a while, people say, "Hey, man, will you sign one of those 2A EDU stickers or patch or whatever, or like magazine?" And that's what Randy just asked me to do. Of course I will, dude. And you're a supporter, I'll give you one of these. But look, I'm going to make a post for all the supporters soon. But this is a true story. It's kind of funny. I'm not going to say the person's name because they might still be watching. But let's just say their name was John Doe. That's their YouTube name. No, it wasn't John Doe because that doesn't make any sense. I know that's fake. That's a bad example. Let's say their name was Tom Price. Okay? It's a name that sounded kind of common, but could totally be legit. Okay? And they're like, dude, will you sign that sticker for me before you send it? So I did. And I said to Tom and then 2A EDU. He emails me back. He wasn't mad, but he's like, dude, my name is not Tom. It's whatever, John. I just go by Tom online, like as a fake name. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So you guys see what happened to me, right? Like, I'm trying to be super nice to this guy. He's like, dude, I just wanted you to sign it. I didn't know that you would personalize it, right? But yeah. Man, these are nice magazines, guys. There we go. This is yours too, Randy, from 2A EDU. So there we go. I haven't posted the official giveaway yet, but a lot of you guys are going to have the chance to get these, as well as the heritage. And email 2A EDU perks. Will you put that email in the chat for me, please, Linda, for Randy, so we can make sure we get Randy his? But man, these are nice books. Oh my gosh. I gave away a bunch of these last year. I hung out with Taurus at the PSA The Gathering event this past spring, and man, so this isn't the same ones I gave away. These are all new ones, and they're really, really, like, even just the paper, like, all right. I'm going to give a whole lot of you a chance to get these, so trust me, I'm not just teasing you. Like, we have a box of each. I might be able to ship a quarter of the box off, slow down, let some money to accumulate for shipping, and send the rest, but I will get them out to you guys in an organized fashion as much as possible. You said magazine. Did you say Taurus or Heritage? I don't know. We can probably put one of each in there, Linda, because if we're going medium now, we'll figure it out. Make sure Randy gets hooked up good. All right. So we started off with the formation of this country, July 4th, 1776, with the Declaration of Independence. And then we find ourselves where we are today. Look, there's a lot of good going on right now, and there is still some stuff to look forward to. And I want you guys to have a really good weekend. I want you to be uplifted and inspired by this stream. Because, look, we're not stupid. We can't just put our head in the sand and say everything's fine, everything's great. That's just being foolish, and that's going to get you burned. But at the same time, we need to be inspired. Because if you have no hope, what do you have? Like, nothing at all, right? I think that's so true. So from July 4th, 1776 until July 4th, 2023, a lot's changed. I mean, in some ways, things have changed for the better. In many, many ways, things have changed from the worst. I mean, a lot of you are very, very fine people, and you weren't alive in July 4th, 1776. So the fact that you were born and you're here, and many of you are or have raised beautiful children and made the earth a better place from bringing beautiful things to this world. So there's good things that have happened since this document. And I really want you to focus on those. But there's also some bad things that we need to remember. Because you really can't enjoy something that's good unless you can recognize what's bad. But you can't fight what's bad if you never get any positive energy about things that's good. So I want you guys to take that major victory from the federal district judge, Reed O'Connor, today. That's big time. The rule is here. The final rule is hereby vacated. June 30th, 2023. That's big time. That's bigly. Like, wow. pales in comparison to this awesome document, though. So I'm going to read you a short book. And it's an excellent book. It's something that you should read to your children and grandchildren. Actually, and to your friends, whether they're young, medium age, or adults. Because this is called If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And it talks about a very profound topic. It's very, very important to me. And very important to you. And it's called, we started off with this, which was this great experiment on self-governance of the people, by the people, for the people. The only reason the government would be allowed to exist at all is to protect our natural God-given rights. And then we end up with this. And a lot of really bad that we have going on in all forms of government. And this book kind of talks about how we got here. We started off with this, and then just like their long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably, I'm going to read this in a minute, that ended up reducing the colonists under absolute despotism, designed to reduce them under absolute despotism. They said enough's enough. And then we had this beautiful thing. And then at a certain point in this country, somewhere along the line, they said, well, can we just have a cookie? Can we just? Here's the problem. Here's the problem. You can't just give them this capital commission ban in Michigan, because that's not all they want. See, it's actually quite the opposite. And here's where a lot of people are very, very foolish. And they're either ignorant or they're willfully ignorant. And those are actually two different things. Because if you're ignorant to something, you don't know what you don't know. You don't even know that you don't know. But there's another kind of people that are like, well, hold on a minute. I do know better, but let's just pretend that like it'll work itself out, even though, no, it never works itself out. Because when you give them an inch, they always take a mile. And then when you give them a mile, they take 10 miles, 100 miles. And they're never, ever, ever going to stop until we tell them enough's enough. You shall not infringe. Unless or until that happens. And it is starting to happen. That's what happened when the judge today said, is hereby vacated. That said, all right, you're done with that now, ATF. That's over. It's a good start. Is it enough? No, of course it's not enough. I get that, guys, but we need to take positive energy from positive things. Read this. Some of you have heard it before. Okay. Some of you, it might be the first time, but this is how it starts, and we need to be aware of it. That's how a lot of things start and how they progress. It's called If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I mean, he's just a cute mouse. What could go wrong, right? Lots of pictures in this book. If you give a mouse a cookie. We could just substitute all of this for if you give the government one gun control law. You guys know where I'm going with this. He is going to ask for a glass of milk. When you give him the milk, he'll probably ask you for a straw. When he's finished, he'll ask for a napkin. See? Then he'll want to look in the mirror to make sure he doesn't have a milk mustache. See? When he looks into the mirror, he might notice his hair needs a trim. So he'll probably ask for a pair of nail scissors. I mean, it's just a little bit of common sense regulations. Here we are, 25,000 federal regulations and gun laws. When he's finished giving himself a trim, he'll want a broom to sweep up. He'll start sweeping. Oh boy, look at this. Jeez, that almost looks like the ATF down the hall there. Ooh, poor dog. Anyways, he might get carried away and sweep every room in the house. He may even end up washing the floors as well. When he's done, he'll probably want to take a nap. You'll have to fix up a little box for him with a blanket and a pillow. He'll crawl in, make himself comfortable, and fluff the pillow a few times. He'll probably ask you to read him a story. So you'll read to him from one of your books, and he'll ask to see the pictures. When he looks at the pictures, he'll get so excited he'll want to draw one of his own. He'll ask for paper and crayons. My baby girl did get a couple official Michigan House of Representative coloring books and crayons. Nothing wrong with crayons. He'll draw a picture. Indeed he will. I mean, if you give him a glass of milk, when the picture is finished, he'll want to sign his name with a pen. Then he'll want to hang his picture on your refrigerator, which means he'll need the Scotch tape. I'll hang up the drawing and stand back to look at it. Looking at the refrigerator will remind him that he's thirsty. So he'll ask for a glass of milk. And chances are, if he asks for a glass of milk, he's going to want a cookie to go with it. There it starts, and there it ends. The circle. Then there's a little game in the back if you want to play the Great Cookie Chase. It's a children's book, but this isn't something I'm talking about that's intended for children necessarily, although it's applicable to all Americans, in my opinion. Some people really like when I read this book. Some people have told me they don't. But I think it's very important. Declaration of Independence in Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So beautiful. Just think about that. What more could you ever need? That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's actually you that's watching right now. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them, that's the people, that's you too, as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. And here's why we are where we are, and why this founding fathers were where they were on July 4th, 1776. Prudence, indeed, will dictate the governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind is more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, It is their right. It is their duty. See, we talk about rights. Now we're talking about duties. It is their right. It is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused to assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. I said this earlier. A lot of this here is more applicable now, I would argue, in many ways than it was then. And we literally talked about a secret capital commission banning guns in Michigan. You read this from July 4th, 1776 on July 4th, 2023, and it's like, geez, the only thing that's changed are things that are exactly the same as they used to be. Let's think about it. This is where we need to be encouraged. Look, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. Manly. That's almost a bad word nowadays in this society. Probably be a felony to say it soon in the state of Michigan. Think I'm kidding? Look at the new laws that just passed on that, or are going to be signed into law soon, I should say, have passed the House. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, sorry guys, it's been nothing but smoke here for 3 days. It's bad. Incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for the purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of the new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance. Wow. We were talking about an ATF rule just getting swatted down today by a federal district judge, and we still have many, many more rules that haven't been swatted down. Think about that. They knew everything that was going to happen to this country while they were talking about Great Britain. Can you believe that? And they tell you why, and they tell you what. There's not many people watching this stream because it's late at night and the topic's probably otherwise not very interesting, but just so you know, you're some of the only people right now that are enjoying actually why this country was created, and a pretty good explanation of why it's where it's at in so many ways. I said this before, and some people either misconstrued or thought I was wrong or just playing out don't like me, which is fine either way. And while I have the utmost respect to all of my friends who are veterans or currently in the Army, I've made no bones about it saying one of the worst fears of the founders was having a standing army. And here's literally more proof of that. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. When's the last time Congress ever declared a war? I'll give you a hint. It's been a long time. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Just remember that when these gun grabbers say only the military should have an AR-15, only the military should have an AK. One of the worst fears of the founding fathers and one of the biggest grievances they had against the King of England, Great Britain, was he has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Now, somebody might say that I sound strange saying this. No, I'm not saying this at all, actually. This is what Thomas Jefferson penned and was signed by the following I'm going to read. We live in a time now where it's become status quo that, of course, the military should have greater arms than the civilians. And when you say something like, no, actually, we're not supposed to have a standing army, and we should have the superior weapons to our military, a lot of supposed conservatives, gun owners, and people would look at you pretty darn weird. But they're actually looking at the founding fathers pretty darn weird. Because I wasn't smart enough to come up with this. I'm just manly enough and have balls enough to read it, even though it ticks off more than half the gun community when I do. But I'm going to read this one more time. Should we be able to have machine guns? Of course, obviously, because if anyone shouldn't be able to have them, it should be the military and police that shouldn't be able to have them. And I didn't say that. That's literally what was said in the Declaration of Independence. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to civil power. This is one of the reasons they went to war. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution, and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. I'm telling you, this is more germane now than it was then in so many ways. For quartering. But this is encouraging because these people saw all of this and were able to see through it. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. We have that right now, don't we? Always. For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. Obama they call the droner in chief, and I still would like Trump's administration to give an explanation for some stuff they did to that 8-year-old little girl. Our governments and militaries kill a lot of American citizens, actually. And apparently that was going on with Britain, too, 247 years ago. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. We still get it in from all parts of the world, obviously. Clearly, China's economy takes precedent right now over ours. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. Imagine that. You know how many gun owners and so-called Second Amendment advocates I've seen on here that brag about their tax stamps? Man, oh man. I've heard some of the most premier Second Amendment channels self-declared there ever was, bragging about buying and paying tax stamps to exercise their natural right to keep and bear arms. This is what the founding fathers in the United States of America went to war over. Just so people know, man, these guys are some pretty good dudes. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. For depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury. You see that every day, don't you? for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. You guys think I'm reading something that's happening right now? I mean, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death. Desolation and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taking captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fail themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring us on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. See, talked about that a lot on here. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in intentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voices of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America. I want to make a note on this. There's a unique capitalization that's worded here. The states of America being capitalized, which are the most important part. And this is not a typo. This is actually how it's written. The United States of America, the unity was actually supposed to be rather loose. Lowercase, with more emphasis on a more proper noun of States of America. In General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, and that they are absolved from the allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that, as free and independent states, they will have powers to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all of the acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. I hit the cough button just in time. Signed by, from Georgia, Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton. From North Carolina, William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, John Penn. South Carolina, Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., Arthur Middleton. Massachusetts, John Hancock, who was the most prominent big signer, I would note. Maryland, Samuel Chase, William Paca, Thomas Stone. Charles Carroll of Carrollton. Virginia, George Wythe, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson. Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson Jr., Francis Lightfoot Lee, Carter Braxton. Of Pennsylvania, Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin. John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor. James Wilson, George Ross. Of Delaware, Caesar Rodney, George Red, Thomas McKean. Of New York, William Floyd, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, Lewis Morris. Of New Jersey, Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, Abraham Clark. Of New Hampshire, Josiah Bartlett, William Whipple. Of Massachusetts, Samuel Adams, John Adams, Robert Treat Payne, Albridge Gerry. Rhode Island, Stephen Hopkins, William Ellery. Connecticut, Robert Sherman, Samuel Huntington, William Williams, Oliver Wolcott. And of New Hampshire, Matthew Thornton. And that's what we celebrate on the 4th of July, Independence Day. This talks about what the purpose of government is. It talks about the limited powers of what the government should have. It talks about how the government would be allowed to operate. And it lists a whole lot of grievances that might sound foreign in some ways, but might sound awfully familiar. Now, it's discouraging that we're currently living under a lot of the usurpations and tyranny, very similar to that of the colonists under the King of England, King of Great Britain. But it's encouraging that our government was formed, that we became a different country, because people were willing to call them out on it and say, no, this isn't the way it has to be. Now, talk's cheap. We ended up fighting a great revolutionary war, something that they definitely didn't want. But it was an act of courage. It was an act of manliness, and the freedoms that we do have left, and the liberties that we can still enjoy, is because of probably some of the bravest people of all time. Divine providence. They did it the right way for a long time. They finally realized the colonist was on their side. They believed God was on their side. And they did end up winning. And as much as we say, and I say it too, but we say, oh boy, how shocked would the founding fathers be if they could just come back today and just take a look at what's going on? Your first answer, obviously, at least my first answer would be, oh my gosh, they're turning over in their graves. They wouldn't be able to believe it. Or would they? because I think they understood the most important lesson. I think a lot of you understand that right now. Yes, it was a battle of the colonists, of the founding fathers, the patriots, versus the king of Great Britain. Of course it was. And right now we have a battle of the tyranny of the alphabet agencies and the current former vice president, and heck, all the Democrats in Lansing, and unfortunately even a couple handfuls of the Republicans in Lansing, Michigan. And it is about that on the surface, but it really wasn't about that, though, in 1776, and it's really not even about that now. So with that, look, this always has been, currently is, and always will be a battle of good versus evil. And evil has prevailed in the past, in many ways is right now, and will in the future when good men do nothing. But when good men become manly and stand up for what's right and call it out and actually do something about it, good can actually prevail. And that's what the Declaration of Independence was and what it is. They took on the largest military superpower of the world. But before they did that, they had to actually get people together and find a common tie that would bind, where they would all pledge their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors. Maybe a miracle or 2 or 10 also were kicked in along the way, which a lot of times good things like that happen to good people, right? But it goes to show that a bunch of immigrants, as they refer to themselves in here, colonists, were able to literally put the finger to the man and then put their money where their mouth was. And that's why we have these United States of America, with the states being the capitalized, more important part, and the united, the federal government part, supposed to have been very, very limited. So with that said, they knew about good versus evil back then. Heck, people have known, like ever since people have existed, people have known about good versus evil. I mean, the evil serpent tempted in the Garden of Eden, right? And Eve ate the forbidden fruit. Cain killed Abel with a rock. So, like, there's nothing new under the sun here. So as much as in a way that you might think, or I might think, or one might think that the founding fathers are rolling over and that they would never, ever, ever be able to fathom this, they might literally just look at us right now and be like, well, duh. Time for you guys to take this country back. Time for you guys to start letting the king or president or whoever it is know what your grievances are. And I think a lot of you guys do that. And some of you don't even bother to write a letter. So hopefully this will encourage you to, look, we have to win freedom and liberty in the court of public opinion. Politics is always downstream from culture. So hopefully Independence Day and the Declaration of Independence at the very least encourages you to do that. If you can take your representative out to shoot and talk about the Second Amendment, that's awesome. And I encourage you guys to do that. If you can't, that's fine. Take somebody else out to shoot and talk about the Constitution, the Second Amendment, because that's also very, very important. But you can't take stuff for granted, and you can't forget. And you should be encouraged because, man, oh man, is there a lot of lost hope in this country right now? I get it, but it was pretty kind of like bleak too, what was going on under, as they referred to it, the current king of Great Britain at that time. And we talk about the current former vice president. Lots of analogies. Yeah, I'm going to read this again over the weekend, but a lot of you guys are tired, and I won't keep you up waiting too much longer. But I do have a couple more super chats to read. As Linda's gone to bed, it looks like most people have gone to bed. Patrick Fellers, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. A little off humor here, he says. you're too excited about your reading material. You might need some alone time after our chat. Or not, but thanks for the super chat. Mr. C, thanks for the super chat again, man. He says, I like your faith, brother. I pray that it's enough. Look, man, I pray for good things to happen, but look, we need some encouragement sometimes, and this is a very encouraging time of year for me. And you guys know I don't just read this on the 4th of July. I read the Declaration of Independence often on this channel. I think that's why most of you that are watching right now are still here, actually. The people that like it don't like it. That's fine. There were a lot of people that didn't like America then. Some people don't like it now. But I'm going to stand by the Declaration of Independence as one of the smartest documents. And if people could just get their head out of their whatever, and we could disagree on almost anything you could think of, but if we could just get enough people to agree with these principles in here, right? I'm not saying every last thing in the list is germane, but geez, oh Pete, you'd think if anyone wanted to call themselves an American at all, at least the first part should be germane at the very least, right? Cody C with the super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. And a channel member. Make sure you channel members and whatnot are checking out some of that exclusive content I posted and some of these giveaways that I'm going to be doing over on Locals. The good citizen will demand liberty for himself, and as a matter of pride, he will see to it that others receive liberty, which he thus claims as his own. Exactly, man. And another way to word that is what I've often talked about, like, good things can be a win-win, right? Like, you can... Here's what's so crazy about so much of society. It's like, dude, like, you can just, like, get off your butt and try to affect changes in your government. Let's focus on the local level right now. We have to start somewhere. And you can actually affect change there. It's like, dude, just, like, do it for yourself. And then, by the way, if you do it for yourself, it's also going to be doing it for other people. It's just hard, isn't it? And this is why I want to keep you guys encouraged. It's hard when, like, there's one of you out there actually trying to, like, bring some liberty and freedom back to this country and standing up for the Second Amendment and the First Amendment and the Fourth and Fifth and all of them, right? And then as much hard work as you do, you notice like 99 freeloaders that are just going to sit there and just drool and like they're brain dead or whatever they are, or just don't even care. You're like, man, isn't that an SOB that I'm going to fight like heck and they're going to get all the rewards of it? Yeah, I guess that's how that works. But maybe just convince some more people that you guys are talking to, they should just selfishly love liberty and freedom and peace and happiness in life, and just let them do it for their own selfish reasons, knowing that you will be able to enjoy it too, right? Thank you, Ruthless Rex. Thanks, DLD. Taco Syndicate, Rudy Finney, Ron Wayne, Dale Konya. What's up, Dale? Konya. I think I always mispronounce your name, but whatever. I'm not good with vowels. Barney Brady, Denny Wilson, Denny's Plant-Based Journey. Some of you guys have different names on different sites. Good night, Pillbox Bunker. Yeah, I don't know, Denny. I don't know. I wasn't there in the Garden of Eden either. I'll just leave it at that. It's the internet, so what can I say? I'm on the internet right now, so I don't know. You guys do know that I have no script. Like, I'm literally, like, had a couple notes here, like dates for things. All right. And, like, dates for the rallies, and then, like, this. It's not bad, though, that, like, hundreds of you guys, like, you guys only get me, like, once or twice a stream. I'm actually kind of proud of myself. Hundreds of people that have the internet, and you're just sitting here by yourself. Mike McClune, Chanzig, Says, saw your video earlier with your rep. It was a good one. I hope it was a good video for people. It was one that we had a fun time making and we're encouraged by doing. Misty Mrs. Wayne, Lucky Dog 350X, Kurt 24. Gord is out of here, but if not, good night. Bill Alexander. Yeah, and Cody C again. All right, guys, I hope you guys have a good, safe weekend. One more super chat just popped up at the last second. St. Vicari with a super chat, 545. Awesome, man. He says, and thanks for the super chat. He says, when's PSA rolling out with 545 by 39? Ammo, I don't know. They were supposed to have it out forever ago. And I've been to the facility and stuff, but I don't know. The guns have been out, actually. I posted deals on those over on Locals, but I don't know. Thoughts on RFK Jr.? Okay, wow. That could be a really long one, but I'm going to be really, really brief. There's lots of things about him that sound very refreshing. Okay? Especially compared to a lot of Democrats and even compared to a lot of Republicans. But at the end of the day, no. Hell no. And no, no, no. I'm a single issue voter. Second Amendment literally is written. Okay? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. That's what I want, to be part of a free state, right? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And he said it on TV that he would sign an assault weapons ban if the Congress passed it. So you know what? It is what it is. I'll listen to him talk about certain types of medical things and crops and Monsanto, and I'll be with him on all that. There's a lot I kind of like the guy for. Not a big fan of the CIA, neither's him, and that's all fine and that's all great. But you say you'd sign an assault weapons ban? No. No. And that's me. But I said in full disclosure, I am a single issue voter. And I don't apologize for that. And not that you're asking me to. I'm just, for everyone that's listening now or on replay, no. If you say you support even one gun control law, that's it. Nothing else matters to me at that point. But I do care about all these other issues. I really, really do. See, here's the problem. The Second Amendment shouldn't even be brought into politics. Everything in the Bill of Rights, which is the supreme law of the land, should be beyond reproach. Like, we shouldn't be able to debate it, look at it, touch it. Shall not be infringed means, like, if you're even looking towards it, get away from there. Stop looking at it. So really, we should be able to look at candidates for, but that's the problem, though. The Second Amendment's become political for a long time. It currently is political. And RFK Jr. did say that he would, he tried to talk like he was pro-gun for quite a while. And then he came in and said, yes, if it was the will of the people, if it was passed by Congress and they sent him the bill, he'd sign it. So there you go. Jason said, I've always thought you have a monologue. No, no, no. Sometimes I look down a little bit, like you guys might think I'm reading something. The lights are super bright, and maybe I have bad social skills and have a hard time making eye contact. But yeah, like, that's all that's here. Like, literally. See? Supporters videos. Wanted to remind you guys that I put supporters videos up. JM for sale. If you give a mouse a cookie, which I had right here. Rally on July 19th. Jamie Thompson's video. I wanted to remind you guys to pray for her dad if you pray. Okay. And one more thing. Thanks for all the generous. See, I don't even look at my notes good. I did buy a new suit jacket for when I go to Lansing next from a stream a couple weeks ago. Some of you guys chipped in and said, buy yourself a suit. I was able to take the money from that. I did get myself a new jacket. And this is reminding me that in the description and in the pinned comment, I will put the 2 Capital Band videos up so you guys can go back and cross-reference. That's literally all of it. Like this and this. Well, and of course, the Susan sticker. That's all that's in front of me. A remote for my AC that's over there. and an ink pen. I just gave you guys the official behind the scenes tour of what I have in front of me when I'm doing these, and a microphone and a camera and computer monitor and stuff. KMI Building, what's up, man? Have a good one, Randy Smith. Raw 77. Geez, look at all these good people. I'm just trying to say good night to you guys because I want to. Threaded for her pleasure is in here tonight. What's happening? Says good chat, but gotta say good night. Happy Independence Day. Well, happy Independence Day, and nice to see you. And keep in mind, with the software that I use, it's only letting me see Top Chat right now because that's how YouTube does it with StreamYard, but I'll come back and read the rest afterwards and catch up on some of the good stuff that I missed. All right, guys. I will see most of you next Friday, and the rest of you that are over on Locals, I will see you guys tomorrow night. All right, thanks for watching, and have a good one, and happy Independence Day. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. And there's Threaded for my pleasure. I got you guys mixed up and stuff, so you guys are cracking me up. I have to get off of here because I can barely breathe. There's been nothing but smoke for days and days and days. Canada. Love my Canadian viewers, though. You guys are awesome.